Welcome to Biography Central. You are listening to Life of Sri Ramakrishna, a complete biography. Chapter 46, Devendra and Kalipada. Devendranath Mazumdar, brother of the famous Bengali poet Surendranath Mazumdar, was a middle-aged man of quiet disposition who worked in a zamindar's office and lived with a relative in Calcutta. He had doubts of the existence of God, which were not removed by discussion. He had a strong desire to realize God, but did not know the necessary steps to take to attain that end. So he decided to seek the aid of a guru. But he must be a real guru, he thought, and fervently prayed to God to send him one. As his longing for God intensified, he could not sleep. The thought, if God exists, why does he not reveal himself to me, bothered him night and day. One morning he decided to go to Bhagwan Das, the celebrated Vaishnava saint of Kalna, and take initiation from him. But he missed the steamer. A friend whom he went to see was not at home. He opened a book at random. In a footnote on the page before him was written, "This is also the opinion of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa of Rasmuni's Kali temple at Dakshineshwar." Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he said to himself. Why? A Paramahamsa is a saint who has realized God. Perhaps he can help me to reach my goal. He decided to visit Sri Ramakrishna, set out at once for Dakshineshwar, and reached the temple garden about noon. From a boat, he could see a man with an arm in a sling standing in the garden. Devendra landed and asked where the Paramahamsa lived. A room was pointed out to him. There was no one in the room when he went there, and he was waiting in the veranda when a plainly dressed man in slippers, the skirt of his cloth thrown across his shoulder, came in. He recognized him as the man whom he had seen from the boat and concluded that he must be the Paramahamsa. He bowed before him, and the master asked him to enter by the northern door. Seeing that he was taking off his shoes at some distance, Sri Ramakrishna advised him to come nearer before removing them so that they might not be stolen. Then he asked him whence he came. "From Calcutta," replied Devendranath. "To see the deity in this form, maybe?" Posing as Sri Krishna with his flute. "No, sir," said Devendra. "I have come to see you." "To see me?" repeated the master. "Oh, what is there to see in me? Look, I have broken my arm." "Oh, what pain!" He made Devendra feel his injured arm and said, "Will you see if the bone has been fractured? It is so painful." Devendra examined again and asked how he had met with that accident. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Sometimes I fall into a peculiar state, and the arm was broken on one of those occasions. The pain increases when any medicine is used, so I have stopped using any medicine. Do you think I shall recover?" Devendra said, "Yes, certainly." In a moment, all trace of pain seemed to disappear. He called out like a boy to the bystanders, "Look here, this gentleman from Calcutta says that my arm will get well." Devendra saw that Sri Ramakrishna's body was as delicate as a woman's and his mind as frank as a child's. He said to himself, "What a strange man he is. He takes me for an oracle. Is it possible for a man to be so artless? Or is it all a hoax?" But the master's childlike behavior dispelled all his doubts. In the course of conversation, Sri Ramakrishna explained the significance of love of the divine. Then he asked a young devotee to give Devendra something to eat. After some time, Sri Ramakrishna said to Devendra, "Many respectable Brahmins eat here. It is a temple, and there can be no objection to your taking prasad with us. The day is already advanced. Do not leave now." Calling Ramlal, he said, "Give Devendra the prasad from the Vishnu temple." Devendra was astonished. How did Sri Ramakrishna know that he was a vegetarian? Could he read men's hearts? He ate his meal and eagerly asked from Ramlal details about the master's life. His mind was in a state of wonderment. In the afternoon, the master asked, "Why do you look so pale? Are you ill?" Devendra was having a relapse of his old malarial fever. Sri Ramakrishna became extremely anxious, and when Baburam came, asked him to take Devendra to Calcutta. As they were leaving, Sri Ramakrishna requested Devendra to come and see him without fail after he recovered. Devendra lay unconscious for 6 weeks. In delirium, he was often heard to mutter the name of Sri Ramakrishna. He fancied that he was at Dakshineshwar, and curiously enough, Whenever excessive pain caused him to open his eyes, he would see the master seated by his bed. On recovery, he dismissed these visions as mere hallucinations and gave up all thought of visiting Sri Ramakrishna again, thinking his relapse to be the result of his trip to Dakshineshwar. A few months passed in this wise. The desire to realize God was not so keen now, but it had not disappeared altogether. Whenever the idea of visiting Dakshineshwar cropped up in his mind, it would be checked by a thought of the fever. As an alternative, he began to practice the Gayatri. But this produced unexpected results. It revived his yearning for God and for a competent guru. But he could not make up his mind to go to see Sri Ramakrishna. One day, while returning from his office, he stopped at a friend's house, but he was out. While he waited for his return, he chanced to see the following item of news in a Bengali newspaper. Sri Ramakrishna Pangsa will meet his devotees this evening at the house of Srijit Balaram Bose of Bagbazar. This was sufficient. All the arguments against visiting the master disappeared in a moment. Unable to resist any longer, he started at once for Bagbazar and sought the place at dusk. There was a great gathering. Sri Ramakrishna was dancing in ecstasy. Some were singing, and others were dancing around him. The whole place thrilled with joy. Devendra watched the scene, but did not dare to face the master after his long absence. Sri Ramakrishna joined now and then in the song as he danced. When the kirtan was finished and Sri Ramakrishna had almost regained his normal mood, there was a rush to touch his feet. Devendra saw that this was an opportunity to salute him without attracting attention. He elbowed his way through the crowd and touched his feet. Just then he felt a gentle tap on the back and heard a familiar voice asking, "Hello, you are here. Why haven't you been coming to Dakshineshwar? I often think of you. You are all right now, I hope." "Sir," said Devendra apologetically, "I was bedridden for a long time." Then the master, for it was he, eagerly said, "You must come again. Do you hear?" Devendra's heart melted at this kindness. "Yes, sir," he said, "I will." He kept his promise and soon tasted the bliss of the divine company of the master. He carried on his sadhana according to his directions and was blessed with various realizations. Afterwards, he felt a strong desire to give up the world and beg the master's blessing. But he was advised to live as a householder as it would not stand in the way of his spiritual progress, and so he remained in the world. One day, a lady belonging to a respectable Hindu family came to Dakshineshwar ostensibly to visit Rani Rasmani's Kali temple, but really to see Sri Ramakrishna, about whom she had heard. While her companions were visiting the temples, she quietly entered the master's room. With tears in her eyes, she told him that her husband, really a good and sincere man, sought bad company and had contracted evil habits. She prayed to the master to bless her and to suggest some way of influencing him towards good. Sri Ramakrishna consoled her and said that her husband was really a devotee of God, and that in the near future he would come to Dakshineshwar. With this assurance, she returned home much comforted. Her husband, Kalipada Ghosh, held an important position in Messrs. John Dickinson and Company, and was an intimate friend of Girish Chandra Ghosh, from whom he heard one day about Sri Ramakrishna. Out of curiosity to see the man about whom he had heard so many strange things, he hired a boat and went to Dakshineshwar. He found the master's room crowded with devotees. Sri Ramakrishna welcomed him cordially as if he were an old acquaintance. When a few minutes later, the master expressed a desire to go to Calcutta, Kalipada put himself and the boat at the master's disposal. The master accepted the offer and, accompanied by Latu, went to Calcutta. On the way, Sri Ramakrishna asked Kalipada what particular manifestation of the divinity he preferred. "I adore the goddess Kali." "My namesake," replied Kalipada. "Are you initiated?" inquired the master. "No, sir," said Kalipada, "but I shall most gladly take initiation from you if you will kindly consent to be my guru." Up to this time, he had had no faith in human gurus. In fact, he was determined to accept only God himself as spiritual guide. Yet at the very first contact with Sri Ramakrishna, he surrendered to him like a child. With a smile, Sri Ramakrishna asked him to put out his tongue. He wrote some mystic syllables on it with his finger telling him that this was the initiation. Only a few fortunate ones were initiated in this way. The boat arrived in Calcutta, but the master had no particular destination and suggested going to Kalipada's, which pleased the latter greatly. Kalipada afterwards became one of the most devoted of disciples. He was of the heroic type of bhaktas. I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.